Just gonna let you know right now, this list is not gonna make anybody happy. This list is my personal ranking of the Star Wars live action movies that have come out from The Phantom Menace all the way through to The Rise of Skywalker. So let me know in the comment section below what your ranking of the Star Wars movies are. I'd be very curious to know. We're all going to have different lists. That's the great thing about being Star Wars fans. Everybody has a different opinion. So make sure you jump down in the comment section below and let me know what your ranking of the Star Wars movies are. If you guys haven't been here before, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so that you never miss out on my take on all things movies. So in the 11th spot, we have Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. This is by far the worst Star Wars movie. It's the Star Wars movie that I've watched the least out of all of them. I never really want to watch this movie. I never get a feeling like, oh, I might sit down and watch Attack of the Clones today. That doesn't really happen unless I'm doing it for a specific reason. Attack of the Clones, I think it's most people's worst Star Wars movie. I don't completely hate the movie either, but it is a bit messy. It has a lot of the most offensive stuff of the prequels. And fun little fact, Attack of the Clones is the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. I saw it in the cinema for a friend's birthday party at the time, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. That was my introduction to Star Wars. That's what started my love of Star Wars. And then after I came home, I was shown the original trilogy. So Attack of the Clones, even though it is my least favorite, it has a lot of issues, it will always have a special place in my heart because it introduced me to the world of Star Wars. At number 10, a movie I actually enjoy watching. This movie, I go back and I rewatch it on occasions. I did it in preparation for The Rise of Skywalker, actually, and that movie is The Phantom Menace. Look, Darth Maul is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. The way he was introduced in this movie, the Duel of the Fates at the end, the three-way lightsaber battle. I enjoy the pod racing scenes. Jar Jar Binks has never been a character that I viscerally hated as much as other people. I don't love Jar Jar Binks either, but like I don't get as mad about it as some people do. I think that has something to do with the fact that like I grew up with the prequels, so it hit me in a different way. I wasn't looking at the prequels already having seen the original trilogy. But Phantom Menace, like, it is rewatchable to me. Again, there is dumb stuff in it. There is some bad acting, some wooden dialogue, but it's a film I enjoy and I get excited about seeing it. So now we've reached the point in the video now where we're all basically on the same page here. I think majority, we're all kind of on the same page. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm about to lose about 10% of you because in the number 9th spot is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Look, Rogue One, I like Rogue One. I really like Rogue One. I enjoyed Rogue One a hell of a lot. I think the last 45 minutes to an hour of Rogue One, if we were to just take like that final act, the whole battle of Scarif, the space battle going on up above, the Darth Vader scene, if we took that entire last 45 minutes to an hour of this movie just in a bubble, and that's all we got, it is like the greatest Star Wars thing ever. And it would be like top of the list for me. But Rogue One as a whole, I have some issues with that movie. I have reviewed, by the way, every Star Wars live action film, so I have a playlist for that. I will link that playlist in the end screen and in the description below so that you guys can go and see my deeper spoiler thoughts on all these Star Wars films. But I think my main issue with Rogue One is the fact that it was affected by a lot of reshoots because they realized a lot of it wasn't working and they changed it, and as a result of that, the character of Jyn Erso doesn't work for me. I feel like she just drastically, like her character just drastically changes halfway through the movie, and there's a lot of other little issues with Rogue One that I have that really prevent it from being higher on the list. And I know a lot of people love Rogue One, and that's totally cool. I love that last hour, even though, yeah, that last hour has some problems too, but I can't just put Rogue One higher up on the list just because I liked one act of a movie. So in the 8th spot, we have the 8th movie in the Skywalker saga, and that's Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is a film that is incredibly divisive. Nobody can agree on this film. Again, a Star Wars movie with a lot of problems, but a Star Wars movie overall that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the Luke stuff. I'm a big supporter and a big defender of what Rian Johnson chose to do with the character of Luke Skywalker in this film. And personally, I feel like the people that don't like what he did with Luke Skywalker, I have to wonder, did you watch Empire Strikes Back? Did you watch A New Hope? It's incredibly consistent with the character of Luke Skywalker, what Rian Johnson chose to do with him in this film. You may disagree with me, that's totally cool. But overall, I enjoy this film. It has some fun, exciting, really good Star Wars lore building elements in this film. The big issue with it, of course, is Canto Bight. Like, that entire sequence is where I start skipping through this film. Everything that sequence entails, like DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, that character is like one of the worst Star Wars characters to me. I don't like the way he played that at all. And I can totally respect and see what Rian Johnson was trying to illustrate with that entire sequence and what he was trying to do there, but it just really didn't work for me. But I think with The Last Jedi, for me, the highs definitely outweigh the lows. Number 7 is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Remember when this movie came out in 2005 when we all thought, wow, that's the end of the Skywalker saga. They've done the 6 movies. That's it. We're never getting Star Wars movies ever again. Well, now we have 3 more movies. Revenge of the Sith, man. Look, this is a film. Again, I grew up with the prequels. They were the first Star Wars movies I was introduced to. And I was the perfect age when those movies came out. That opening scene with the drum beat, the boom, 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 and then the Anakin and Obi-Wan flying down, and you got like the battle for Coruscant happening. This entire movie, when I saw it as like, what, a 12-year-old or something, blew my brains. Again, this is like a prequel movie that has problems. There are some dialogue issues. There is things I don't like about this movie. There are some things that don't make sense. But this movie, to me, is a hell of a lot of fun. And say what you will about the high ground and all the memes, and they're hilarious. Look, I get a little choked up when Obi-Wan and Anakin are having their lightsaber battle, and Obi-Wan starts saying, like, you are my brother, I loved you, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. That hits me every time I watch this movie. And it seems to hit me on a deeper emotional level the more I watch the movie. Like, every time I watch it, that scene gets me more and more choked up, and I don't know why. Also, Yoda versus Palpatine is just, like, fucking awesome. I know some people don't like lightsaber fighting Yoda. Lightsaber fighting Yoda, give me that all day, every day. Him versus the Emperor. Yes, it was campy. Yes, it was cheesy. And yes, I loved it. Remember how I said Darth Maul was one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time? Well, he's in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Solo: A Star Wars Story is the next movie on the list, and this was a movie that I said in the review, it pleasantly surprised me. This movie more than pleasantly surprised me. I thought this movie was going to be a train wreck from start to finish, considering all the production drama they had with this movie, considering all the stuff we were hearing about it, and the Lord and Miller, were doing things they didn't like, and they brought in Ron Howard, they reshot 80% of the movie. I was getting really worried about this film, and I ended up, like, I didn't care about the movie prior to me seeing it. I really didn't care about it, and I said in the original review for this film, and I stand by this. At the time, if 5 minutes before I walked in to see the movie, if they had pulled that movie and cancelled it entirely, I really wouldn't have given 2 shits about it. But they didn't do that, and I went to a midnight screening, and I saw Solo, and 20 minutes into that movie, I'm going, this movie isn't bad. And then by the end of it, I'm like, shit, I really enjoyed that film, and I wasn't expecting to, because who asked for a Han Solo movie that wasn't starring Harrison Ford? Plus, you have the Darth Maul thing at the end, and look, I know that pissed a lot of people off. As a prequel guy myself, I love that. Number 5 on the list is, of course, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This is a film that I adore. I love Star Wars, The Force Awakens. I think it is a beautifully made film, and I think the casting in it is sensational. Like, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren is hands down the best thing, like, Disney has done with their Star Wars movies. Like, casting Adam Driver as that character, the way that character is written, he is the best written new character in the sequel trilogy by a mile. And I love the character of Rey, and I love Finn and Poe and BB-8. Look, I know J.J. Abrams did an homage to A New Hope. I know a lot of people, the fact that he played it so safe was a real problem for some Star Wars fans, and I can understand that. But to me, like, when you understand where Disney was coming from, coming off of the prequels, and it being so long since we've had a Star Wars movie, I totally understand why they felt the need to play it safe. And I also don't see the similarities to A New Hope as really a big, issue. To me, it just goes back to what George Lucas said in some of those prequel extras, DVD extras, that he said, like, Star Wars is a poem, each stanza rhymes, and history in the Star Wars universe sort of repeats itself. George Lucas has said this. So the fact that the First Order is trying to replicate what the Empire had, it shouldn't have really surprised or pissed anybody off. But if that annoys you about The Force Awakens, that's totally cool. For me, it worked. And Force Awakens, man, it was a return to form for Star Wars. JJ did a beautiful job with that film, and I adore The Force Awakens. Okay, so by this point, we have Rise of Skywalker left, and we have the original trilogy left. How many of you are still sticking around at this point? Have I pissed enough of you off yet? I don't know. We'll see. So, in the fourth spot, we have the fourth Star Wars movie, which was actually the first Star Wars movie, in Star Wars A New Hope. This is my least favorite of the original trilogy. Not because it did anything overtly that I really didn't like. It's just that to me, it's not as relentlessly entertaining as the rest of the original trilogy are to me personally. A New Hope has never been a movie that I really, really love. And it's in the fourth spot because it is Star Wars A New Hope. It gave us Star Wars. It's the movie that started the greatest franchise in cinema history. So for that reason, it is on this list. I really enjoy A New Hope. It's just, to me, it is my least favorite of the original trilogy, but it definitely deserves the fourth spot. I love it. It's great. In the third spot, we have what some people would say is the best Star Wars movie of all time in The Empire Strikes Back. And I don't disagree with that at all. Empire Strikes Back is basically a flawless movie. And say what you will about the special edition changes to the original trilogy, Empire Strikes Back suffered the least from those changes because there wasn't really much that George Lucas could do to improve upon this film. And the fact that I have this movie where it is on this list is no insult to this movie at all. It's just that I enjoy the next two movies more than I've enjoyed Empire Strikes Back or A New Hope. So that brings me to my favorite of the original trilogy, which is Return of the Jedi. Now, I know as soon as I've just said those words, as soon as those words left my mouth, you all know what my number one pick is because there's only one movie left. So by this point in the video, none of you are freaking watching, and I'm just here talking to nobody. But Return of the Jedi is my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I love Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite of the original trilogy, minus the special edition changes, of course, because Vader yelling no when he's throwing Palpatine off the thing was dumb. But Return of the Jedi arguably has one of the best space battle in movie history. Like, the emotion behind Return of the Jedi, the drama of it, the conflict throughout the movie, the Luke and Vader thing, all the Yoda stuff, the Jabba's sail barge stuff at the beginning is awesome. The Vader and Luke fight itself is great. Ian McDiarmid is the Emperor. Like, this movie's great. It's fantastic. I don't really have anything new to add to the conversation about the original trilogy because they are fantastic movies. So that brings me to my number one Star Wars movie of all time. And look, by this point, you all know exactly what it is I'm going to say. And I'm not one to shy away from my honest opinion when it comes to doing this stuff on YouTube. All I have to give you guys is my honest opinion. And if I don't, then how can you ever believe a word I say? I'm not ashamed at all in the least to say that Rise of Skywalker is my new favorite Star Wars movie. It is. I just, if you've watched my non-spoiler review, if you've watched my spoilers, especially if you've watched my spoilers review, I go into really, I really dive deep into the film about what it is specifically about this movie that I love so much. So if you've seen Rise of Skywalker and you haven't yet watched my spoilers review, definitely go and do that if you want a deeper explanation than what I can give in this little 30 seconds here. But I just think The Rise of Skywalker is just an endlessly, relentlessly entertaining film. There is not a scene in this movie that I want to skip over. Like, there are moments in A New Hope. There are moments in Return of the Jedi. There are definitely moments in Rogue One. There's a whole like act in Rogue One that I skip. There are moments in The Last Jedi that I skip over. Hell, there are moments in Solo that I skip over. I've now seen The Rise of Skywalker twice. And I wanted to make sure I saw it a second time before I made this video to really solidify my opinion. I knew it the second that I saw that first teaser trailer for this movie. I said it to myself. I said, this is going to be the most batshit crazy Star Wars film that I have ever seen. And that was my big, bold prediction for this film. It wasn't about who the hell's Rey. It was that this film was going to be just absolutely bonkers nuts. And watching this film, especially watching this film twice, I love how bananas this movie is. I love the pacing of the film. Some people say it's messy. I don't find it messy. It just moves so quickly, and I love it. And it's just so much fun. It is a Star Wars movie to me that is the Star Wars movie I've always dreamed of in my head and had never seen. And say what you will about Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy. Look, I understand, like, this new sequel trilogy of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, I get it. There are inconsistencies story-wise in this trilogy because Lucasfilm had no overall narrative plan as to where they were going to go. They didn't know when they started Force Awakens where they were going to end Episode 9, and they really should have, because they let JJ do whatever he wanted to do, and then they just let Rian Johnson do whatever he wanted to do, and then JJ had to come back and try and figure out how to close this trilogy out. So I actually don't put any of the blame of the inconsistencies throughout the three movies on JJ Abrams, nor do I put any of that blame on Rian Johnson. The blame on that, to me, falls with the overall company of Lucasfilm and Disney on top of them. But all that aside, I understand The Rise of Skywalker is not a movie that is going to work for everybody. I've seen reviews online. People hate this movie. People love this movie. People are indifferent to this film. I am one of the people that loved it. I loved it so much that I was dancing the first time I saw it. I was dancing out of the cinema. I just adore this movie. I just do. I just think it's so much fun. And honestly, at the end of the day, with any movie, if you can walk out saying, I had a good time, or that movie was fun, forget about, in-universe lore stuff. Forget all that. I had fun. I had so much fun with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker that any issues I have with this film are minor. And that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. This movie hit me really, really hard. And I really enjoy this film. And again, if you want a deeper, if you want me to dive deeper into those reasons, watch my spoilers review. I know it's a long review, but you really get an understanding as to why this movie is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. And that might change in, the coming months or the next couple of years as we see more Star Wars films. So look, the goal of this video isn't to try to make anybody agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. That's the fun of movies. I just wanted to put it out there and say, hey, we're all talking about Star Wars at the moment. There's my ranking. Make sure you jump down in the comment section below. Rank the Star Wars movies. Let me know. I'm always interested to hear others' opinions. So I look forward to hearing what you guys say about your rankings for the Star Wars series. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notifications bell, and make sure you check out the Star Wars playlist that I've got on my channel. I'll link it in the description below. I'll also put it in the end screen. So check those out. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this review, guys. My name is Tom, and as always, may the Force be with you always, forever and ever. And I will see you guys next time.